Good morning. How's everybody doing? Oh, got a mark on my top. Right. Excellent. So here we are. For a guitar lesson, which would be great. So still got to sort my hair out. Crank it. I'm gonna crank it. Right. Okay. But just need to get the hair sorted. No, still not right, is it? Alright. That'll do. Alright, how is everybody doing? Well, we're doing okay. So what I thought I'd do is, I thought I would do a little bit of a guitar lesson this morning, because I know a lot of the time on this channel I've been doing, I'm quite keen on doing the sort of lecture-y thing. There's a bit of hair going mad outside the back. Can I get it? There we go. I know that I've done like a lot of sort of lecturing about inside-outside game, about coaching, conditions of success, zones of experience, like all of that kind of good stuff. But let's do something that's a bit of a guitar lesson. So these guitar lesson things happen rarely. It's all off the top of my head, this. I haven't actually planned or structured anything. But what I have decided to do is do something on legato. So this will be based on my experience of learning to play legato, and I'm just going to give you the stuff that actually got me. Just get all my stuff out of my pocket. That got me playing really quickly and getting a good technique. And here's Des. Hi Des, how you doing? Quality control officer of this channel. So that's good. Being inspected today. Sorry, Des. Oh, Des, you know what you should do? You should print me a certificate. You know, like what you get in a, you know, when you get in a cafe or something like that. A certificate, you know, with like sort of my rating on it. Like poor, satisfactory, what's it? Poor, satisfactory, outstanding. That's what I should have, and then I can stick it on the wall. And then it has to be renewed every year. So yeah, legato. So all right, I'll check Discord. Good to see you, Mac, on here, and everybody else. So yes, we're doing a bit of a guitar lesson, and I thought, you know, why not do a guitar lesson, because it might get me some more likes, some more thumbs up, and some more subscribers, because I'm on 891, which is very exciting, heading into the 900s. You know, we're only 109 subscribers away from my 1000 goal, so that would be good. So anybody who you know, comes on here, I'm clearly giving back by doing a legato lesson, so do subscribe. But here we go, teaching. Oh, I'm a bit nervous now. Right, first thing, tune your guitar. Oh, right, there we go. Okay. So we need to get warmed up, that's the first thing, don't we? That's my thing. Right, so I think what we'll do is we're just going to go in hammers only. Now, one thing, you want to practice sort of clean and with the sound that you're going to be using this for, because you can practice on a clean sound and get everything sounding nice. But then when it comes to sort of putting the distortion on, you'll find that there's like tons of unwanted noise, and the whole thing with legato is it's as much the muting technique, I find, as it is the actual hammering and pulling off. So just bear that in mind, that you are going to have to work on sort of like how you're muting things, okay? And what we'll do is we'll just get into that like straight away, and I'll show you really handy sort of exercise that I've got for that to get you started. I mean, there are two sort of exercises actually that I picked up off Rick Graham, just to make sure that it gets you the right technique, and it gets you basically knowledge of what you need to do with your muting with your left hand and the right hand. It's the start of that. So we're gonna move into that. That's gonna be the first thing, but I need a little bit more coffee before I do this. So anyway, it's been a very already an interesting week of guitar playing. So because after the stream, I then stumbled on a load of interesting type sort of lick things that I'm working on that I just can't play at all. So I've been practice. So I had something really cool to practice yesterday, which was good. But problem was I'm overplaying a lot. Like my hands feel like I've got gloves on when I wake up in the morning. It's a really weird feeling. But it just happens really. I just end up I'll end up with a lot of time, and sometimes I can just be sitting there jamming at work, So I mean, I had what? Let's have a think. Let's count the actual performance hours, because there wasn't a lot of kind of coaching stuff going on. So I'll have done where was it? So I've done the morning, so I did a bit of playing on the morning stream, and then in the afternoon I did about an hour, and I did 2 hours, so it wasn't that bad. It's like 3.5, 4 hours playing, and then when I came in I did about another hour and a half, sort of practice, getting frustrated with the instrument. But anyway, let's make a start. So the first sort of exercise that we're going to have is this one, right? So all we're going to do is we're going to use the second and first strings, okay? Okay, and at any point feel free to ask questions, okay? So all this is just, it's all going to be hammers only for now, right? And this first exercise, all it is just a little bit of finger independence and sort of muting, okay? So all we're going to do is we're just going to play these notes, okay? 7th fret on the first string, okay? And then we're going to play the 8th fret on the second string, okay? Sounds like an old British English police car from the 70s. And all we're going to do is swap our fingers around. That's all we're doing. So this is all about crossing strings, because that's where the noise sort of happens, right? So what we don't want is... Okay, that's an exaggeration, of course. But what we want is a clean transition. We're looking for as much separation as we possibly can get, right? So now when I'm playing this, what I tend to think of is just move the chart. It just needs to go somewhere. Put it there for now. What I tend to think of is hammering. So I'll think on and then off. And as soon as this finger comes down, this finger's lifting. And the other thing you're going to practice as well is just how far you have to move your fingers off the fretboard as well. Yeah, that's it, the police. So what we find is, people will, kind of, me included, I've spent years like over hammering on the fretboard, like just being too sort of like really aggressive. You don't have to do that. You can practice just getting light, okay, and this is a great way to start. Because what we're doing is we're training our hand by doing hammers only to actually hit the fret at the most optimal position, okay, across the fretboard. So, and it's a very a satisfying thing to do. And it's always the first finger I find the hardest. So just finding that point where the note really pops and finding how much pressure that you actually need to do this. Another thing I'd like to just say is, the sensory side of the guitar playing, okay? Just remember that we've got our ears, and we've got our sight, and we've got our touch, and what we're trying to do is triangulate all of these as well. So, when I'm doing these hammers only, what I try and do is it's hard on the first strings, better on the bass strings, is I try and feel the vibrations of the string going into my finger and how far those vibrations are going. So, and what we can do is we can swap fingers. We can work on these two. Okay, it's not about speed. What this is about is accuracy. Okay, so that's the first thing, sort of like crossing strings, and getting and just getting the tone right, and getting how hard you're hitting the strings. So we're wanting to be as light as we possibly can, because we don't want to get too tired. Now, I've got some other great energy saving tips as well for us later on. So I think that's the first thing. Was there something else? No, I think that'll do for now. Alright, now we've got one more of these to do, and we can do this sort of on the lower strings, right? Now this one, very similar, but we're just going to go up on the notes. So this is on the lower strings, okay? And we've got, basically we're playing E, and we're playing C, and that's on 5 and 6. So we've got 7, and then we've got fret 8 on 6. And then we'll just go up a fret with this first finger. And again, we're wanting that separation. Okay, so I always think when I'm struggling with this and I've really got to be conscious of what I'm doing, I'm thinking on, off, on, off. And also, when we're listening, focus to the sound in between the notes. So that's a great little tip there, focusing in between the notes. The other thing that I do with these as well, in terms of the muting, so let's talk about the muting as well with both of these exercises. With the higher up one that I'm playing here, this hand is muting, the picking hand is muting all of the strings right up to the second and first strings, right? Now, the finger here, the first finger, when I hammer it down, actually the top of it is muting the B string. So there's a way that you can actually hammer and not trigger the second string, or the string above, right? And then that third string's covered with this hand. And then the fleshy part, the second finger's muting the first string, and also the first finger's kind of on there muting it. It doesn't fully come off. Like, none of my fingers fully leave the strings. On the lower strings, what I do like to do there is I tend to give a little bit of palm, like honestly the tiniest bit of palm muting to the lower strings. And I think it just makes the sound a little bit more controlled. It's almost like mixing the sound. It's like adding a little bit of compression and tightening up the release on it, you know. It's just, I'm shaping the front end of the attack of the note. And making it less sort of ringy. And again, the muting on here, so we've got a little bit of muting there. First finger's muting the sixth string. And then the first finger, when it's in its relaxed state, is muting all of the strings, okay, underneath. Alright, is everybody following this? Because we've got to get the foundations right before we can do anything else. Once you've got the foundations, you can do whatever crazy music mission that you want to go on, you know. But we do need to have the correct fundamentals there. And then, you know, when you go to a teacher, they're not having to, like, kind of, you know, work on all of this stuff. Because, you know, me and Des is a teacher as well, is very good. I'm sure, Des, you'll agree with me. One of the things we don't like is like when poor students have had not a great teacher and then have not been having the practice monitored correctly and then develop bad habits in their muscle memory. And then, you know, people come to me and then I spend my time undoing it. And I can't do anything till I sort that out. I can't do any of the nice stuff. So anybody here who's got bad habits, okay, with your guitar playing, sorry, I'm in teacher mode, right? Strongly, and I don't care how young you are, how old you are, okay, it is never too late to undo them. I know you might think, oh, but I'm comfortable with my bad habits, right? If they're holding you back and they're stopping you from progressing, they have to be dealt with, right? Simple as that. So, yeah, so Des has been here. Yes, been there many times. Bad previous teachers. Yeah, and it's awful, right? We need to have good technique. It's the foundations, you know, and we don't want to be limited by that physically. So you want good foundations in your playing. Very, very important. Technique can vary. We're not all the same. Like, you know, a little bit of thump can come up. That's all right. Okay, but we need the basic essential fundamentals there so you are not going to be limited. Okay, we need to future-proof you. Okay, and that's what this lesson's about. So if you're finding the licks not very sexy, I'm sorry. It's for a good reason. Right, but it'll also save you from, like, trawling the net, right, looking for stuff. So there we go. Right. So, in short, let's just get my little chat box thing. I don't know why it decides to do great big ones like this. So we've got Des is there. This is good stuff, guys. Thank you, Des. Yes, been there many times. Bad previous teachers. He's right. Yeah, option paralysis. Yeah. Stop. You know, don't worry. Right. You first stop for anything. Right. Okay. Should be this channel. If you come here, right, I might be able to save you some time, and we might be able to do something really interesting. Like if it's music production, guitar, you can use this space, this channel, as something interactive, and we can do experiments based on what your problems are. We could sit here and we could solve them in front of you. Make excellent television. But the option paralysis is we don't do that, because like, why do we want? We don't want any more options. We want to be limiting things, you know, and we just want to get the thing down that we know that's going to work, and that's what we're doing today. Right, okay, so again, similar thing. We're hammering, first finger's muting this string, and then muting all the lower ones, and we've got this hand adding a little bit of muting, super light. So this fleshy bit's kind of resting on my trem, and then I'm just adding a little bit more flesh. To the string. Okay, so the other thing that these exercises are really good is what you want to learn is when I'm doing legato, it's like tension and release. So when a finger's playing, it's under tension. As soon as it's released, okay, there is no tension in it. So bear this in mind. So you're training your fingers actually, rather than hammering on, but think of it the other way. We're also thinking about relaxing the fingers that aren't playing. So that sort of goes in line with listening to the space between notes, because that's where we want the clean transition, and also in line, with the idea of relaxing. Okay. All right. Got to get up soon, Des. That's it. Get moving for the day. Thanks for coming on. If you're going, very good. Okay. So let's do something. Let's do a scale. We're going to do C major, all right? Okay, that's what we're going to play. And again, hammers only, because really the reason I'm picking hammers only is so you can hear the tone from your hand, okay? Because I want to make sure we're getting rid of all the unwanted noise. It's all about getting rid of the noise, okay? And getting a nice clean sound, okay? So, let's just start. So C major, we've got the note C. We're on the 8th fret, we're going 8. I'm using my second finger on 10, fourth on 12. Now, what's happening there is I'm going hammer, off. So this finger is relaxing. And you'll see this a lot in my playing, right? When you watch me doing really fast legato, this finger's twitching all the time. And this is a brilliant tip I got off Tom Quayle. By giving that little finger, a little bit of movement, it releases the tension out of your hand. There's sometimes we can't avoid it, where we've got to keep the first finger down as a bar. But I would say most of the time we can always lift that finger off. We can always release the tension. So if we watch hammer, off, just slightly off, hammer, off. So the fingers are still resting on the string. Giving a little bit of muting here. So listen to that tone. See, we've got a nice little bit. We're shaping that attack with the muting. Okay, we'll go to the next string. It's the same pattern. Okay, now, this is where this muting is really coming in now. Because now it's this hand rolling motion. So the frets here, we've got 9, 10, 12, 9, 10, 12, using fingers 1, 2, 4. And then we're going to move up so that the hand's rolling. We're up to the second and first string. And that's what we're doing, and that's going to give us that really, really clean sound. The other thing we've got to do is we need to be using the tips of our fingers. So I'm really on, so you can see that, yeah. So that's like the kind of bend. So we're always pressing. What we don't want to do is have flat fingers. We want to learn controlling, having curled fingers. Now, this is something, it's a bit like, I mean, how I think about it, right, is in the UK, when you've been driving your car for a bit, you have to take it to a garage and get like a certificate and MOT to prove that it's safe. And guitar technique, I think of it a bit like that. So especially with curling your fingers, like what I find is we get lazy fingers after a while, and our fingers flatten out. And I have to then, and sometimes it's a bit like also when you don't have your guitar set up for a while, you know, you get used to the imperfections and you just play around them, and you slowly, gradually just making your life harder and harder, and you're not fully aware of it till you get things set up and you're like, oh wow, that's much easier. The same with you know, technique on guitar. You know, what we want to do is we just want to make sure that we monitor that these fingers are curled, and we're using the tips of our fingers. It makes loads of sense. It's where the pointy bit is, and by using the tips, what you'll find is you will be able to use less pressure on the frets, and it'll be a lot easier to play. So again, what we're trying to do is we're trying to hit the optimum part of each fret. The other thing which we've got to cover as well is the time feel of it. So the great thing about just doing legato with one hand is we haven't got this pick to deal with. I mean, we've got other things to deal with. There's enough on our plate. But what it's really good helps you with is you're not going to accent the string change, okay? Because what you'll hear guitarists doing, like this is a worst case scenario, is because physically we have 3 notes per string, okay, then we can end up into playing triplets, which is fine. But what if you don't want triplets, right? Okay, and we're just wanting straight, 16 notes or something like that. We're stuck. So what we want to do is make sure that dynamically we're playing our legato flat, and we're playing it in 16ths from 16th notes, like groups of 4. If we want triplets, then we can have groups of 3. But the thing is what you find, this is like a Tom Quayle thing, is if we just count every 4 notes, 1, 2, 3, 4, the 1 on the next, when 1 comes in, it's actually on the second finger now. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. Now it's on the 4th finger. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. So it kind of changes fingers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. Okay? And we need to be aware sort of where these notes are rhythmically. It's not like we're accenting on them. It's just so we can have our legato when we're soloing, when we're improvising, we can have some control over it. So that's what we're wanting, nice and smooth. Not. That's what we don't want to hear. We don't want to hear that. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Triple it, triple it, triple it. Right, we don't want that. We want nice and smooth. Okay? Alright, I'll better check the chat here. Scary. We did the exact same line over here, at least 1 octave apart. Okay. Right, everybody following this so far? How are you finding your guitar lesson? Oh, good, we've got 16 on here. Great. So that is the first thing, okay? And we've got our scale, we've got sort of all the other stuff. Right, and the muting. So we've done the muting. We've done the attack of the fingers. Oh, that's the attack of the fingers. That's the other thing I just want to point out is, you don't have to practice like the scales really fast all the time. We also have finger planting as well as like pick planting and all that kind of stuff. So what happens here is when we're doing our hammers is we're focusing in on the speed of like how the attack is. So I don't know if you can see. What we're doing is I'm focusing in on how fast and how accurately the fingers are attacking. Now, of course, we're going. Of course, we are just going up and down this scale, but let's sex it up a bit, right? This is the fusion major scale now. So what we don't want to do is like what I did when I was a kid doing hammers on and pull-offs, is just ignore the chromatic side of things. So this is what we're going to do. We're going to modify the scale. We're going to fill in a few gaps, right? Which is quite handy because these are like available chromatic notes that sort of usually work. So again, we're in C major, and we're going to go 1, 2, but this time we're going to add 3. And we're going to repeat that on the next string. And then when we go up to here, it's just going to be all the notes. So like little handy enclosures. Yeah, that you can have. So... And then this is just so we're practicing all of our fingers. Now, and then what you can do is you can work on a few sequences with these. So we could have... okay. And a lot of the time what I'll do is I'll just work on one little sequence and then just try and like improvise and move it about. Cool. Coffee time. And then I'll move on to the next bit. Right, now. So these are the foundations so far. Is everybody following this? So we've got basically the note isolation, we've got our relaxation, we've got the attack of the fingers, the muting of this hand, muting of this hand. It's like loads to take in. We've got sort of playing basic C major scale up and down the fretboard, 3 notes per string. We've got 4 notes per string here, just to get that finger independence going to start that, and then you can just kind of build into what you want. Okay, I'll leave it open-ended so you can build your own sequences and things like that. What I would say is like try and think of things that phrases that start with different fingers, and then just practice them across the fretboard. Yeah, and then the other thing is don't be too slavish about it. Like enjoy, right? You can play these scales as much as you want. But like put a backing track on. This is from yesterday. Hold on, let's have a listen. So yeah, like if I had something like this, improvise with it. the main thing is to just have fun. So there, I was putting a bit of speed into it, but what you can do is practice in slow motion to a backing track, which I love doing. Okay, so you can do that kind of thing. You can practice just like a segment of a scale, so you might, and then put like a little phrase at the beginning and end of it. That's quite fun. So I'm doing triplets, and then a little phrase. So, you know, we want to be high perplexity. All right, anybody who's on here who is not subscribed to this channel, do subscribe to this channel and do put the thumbs up. My goal was to get to 1,000 for... I just got it in my head. I want to get to 1,000 subscribers. So why not, just to be popular, do a lesson? You know, lessons are great. I'm actually trained as a music coach, so this is a rarity for me to do a lesson, okay? I've taught for years. But music coaching is the thing that I think is really gets people moving, especially in this day and age. But I thought, why not just, you know, as I'm kind of noted for my legato playing, why not just do a bit of a deep dive into it, you know, and just give you all the information that you need here, so you don't have to search and look at like lots of other people and stuff like that. So you're going to get good foundations here. It's reliable and trustworthy. Okay. All right. So, yeah, just, I mean, at the end of the day, right? Okay, I'm showing you scales and things like that, and we're playing up and down them, and that's fine, you know. And they're also great diagnostic tests that I'm showing you, so you can see where your technique is and adjust and modify where you need to remove noise to improve the tone. But fundamentally, right? Okay. Why are we doing this? And just remember yesterday when I was talking about zones of experience and I had my flow chart out, we're doing this to make some sort of a connection with the world. Now, that connection doesn't have to be releasing music and going out like I am on a YouTube channel and stuff like that. It could just be, you know, playing in front of a small group of friends. It could be just playing in front of yourself and recording it and hearing it back, right? It could be as small as you want, okay? Or it could be as big as you want. But fundamentally, what we're trying to do with music is we are trying to connect with the world around us. And what the world wants is actually some music, not necessarily a scale going up and down. And I think, you know, with guitarists and actually music producers and all the plugins and all the tools that we have and all of the resources that we have to learn, right? We can become oversaturated. You know, somebody mentioned before, you know, that there's almost paralysis in kind of all the choices and information that you've got, right, coming into you. The one thing you need to know is whatever you're practicing, you need to use to emotionally be able to express yourself. Expressing your music is about expressing your feelings, your innermost feelings, okay, as a metaphor, all right? So do think about that. Don't get lost in skills. Always think about making a connection with the world, okay? Making that emotional connection. We want to be making music. That's why I say I'll just put like a backing track on instead of a you know, a metronome, because it means like you'll do your little bit of a practice and then you'll do like a little bit of a phrase, you know, and it keeps you entertained. And then you might think, oh, I quite like that little, you might stumble on something and then you think, oh, well, I'll just practice that and I'll develop that into an idea. And that's how you start making your own music, okay? Instead of, the missus has just subscribed. Excellent. Thanks, missus. Oh, that's good. So if she, well, because I was looking at my kind of statistics for the channel and it's 100% male. At least the people who watch it. Anyway, right. So has anybody got any questions? Any questions? And thanks for being on here, Perplexity. Any questions? I'll just drink some of my coffee before I then think about what we're going to do next. If I've got like something. I don't know. It must just know if when you've subscribed and stuff like that. So I have no idea. I just looked at it and it was like 100% male. I'm actually female. Cool. So that's right, there you go. And I think like I suppose that'll be the people who are watching. But now obviously we've got the ladies here, which is brilliant. Excellent. So moving on. Right, so we've done 3 notes per string, we've done 4 notes per string, we've done exercises involving the transition, okay? And these exercises I was showing you before are what I call great for micro practices, okay? So, in other words, you might be finding when you're developing a micro practice, what we're trying to do is we're trying to, on an XY axis, we're locating where the problem is with our playing, okay? Now, to locate a problem, okay, when you're playing, what we need to do is we have to not be thinking, all right? And we have to be observing. Oh, cool, Perplexity, brilliant. So we have to, what we have to do is we're just observing. So we'll be playing something. And you're just trying to let it happen, all right? What we're not trying to do is like, I've got this mistake. Can't make a mistake today. All right, let's say it's just like, whatever. And what we're doing is rather than saying to ourselves when we're practicing, when I get to that bit, I'm going to try harder, okay? Because we're not giving the whole routine our equal focus when we're doing that. We're just focusing on one bit. So when you're practicing, okay, we're practicing the whole and we're observing. You're observing. You're not trying. So let's say there, that's where I'm running into some problems, okay? And then what we can do is we can zero into that problem. So it could be like a string crossing. So I'm just going to play around that. Okay, and there's a little bit of noise there. Yeah. So we're here, we're on this part of C major grams. So this is like one of the trouble areas actually, because I've got a string cross between 2 and 4. So I might observe that. I know there's a problem around there. And then I know that then I find out that there's ringing noise between those 2 strings. Now I can make a micro practice. Micro practice can be as long or short as you want, but it's usually short because that's why it's a micro practice. And what I might do is, for that day, I'll just set my goal of whenever I pick the guitar up, okay? And always have your guitars lying about, all right? So you might be talking to the missus, you might be doing something, you might be waiting for your tea to be made, you know, the oven might be on. The time that you kind of waste maybe looking at your phone, don't do that. Don't do any scrolling, and just have a couple of minutes doing this. And you can even time it. I mean, I have a couple of things here. I have this timer, so I might just give myself a couple of minutes on there. Even better, there's a free app. I think I paid for it in the end because it's that good. I'll get it up and then you can see it. There's Metro Timer. All right, Metro. What's it? Yeah, Metro Timer. This one. And this is really good. And I'll tell you why. It's because it does little intervals. So at the bottom here, you've got these numbers, and it's like 1 minute, 2 minute, 3 minute, 4 minute, 5 minutes. So I can just set that. All right, and then I'll just do my reps. Hi, Devian. And then, you know, so that's a great app for doing that, and then it counts down. And I find, because the other thing is, measuring time where there's a start and an end to something is really, really, really helpful, because it's a condition of flow. It's going to get you absolutely absorbed into your practice, because you know that you've only got a minute to do this micro practice. So in other words, this isn't just now practice, it's actually meditation. All right, we're in that zone. Nothing matters. There's just the timer. We know that time is going to end, and we're almost beating the clock. Okay, what we're trying to do is we're trying to get. In fact, we're not trying. You don't want to be trying, but what we're aiming to do is just to get this nice and clean. So that's the other thing I'd like to say. We're never trying. You know, trying is a very self-one thing where we're trying to perfect something, and there's that an internal dialogue. We're not wanting that. We want our head completely clear, and we just want to be thinking and focusing on the music. Okay, and then just enjoy doing your micro practice, maybe over a backing track. All right, and you're away, and you know you can start just exploring, making something boring like that into something interesting. A bit like Victorian literature, really. I mean, they used to write about really boring things, didn't they, as an exercise, like the inside of a ping pong ball or paint drying. You know, you can do the same thing. We can start off with something very simple and try and think about how we're going to make it interesting. Okay, right. Everybody following so far? All right then. So now what we come to is so we've got sort of you know, our 3 notes per string, which is great, but we want sort of like 2 notes and 1 note. So I think a really good way to practice this and have something musical are arpeggios. All right, so let's just do let's have a think. Let's just have, I mean, I have a few different fingerings for this. You need to be able to do all of them. Let's do an E minor 9, all right? So this is a little bit trickier because we've got 2 notes. So we're going to go from E, so we're going on the 5th string, we're going 7. Now I'm using my 3rd finger because sometimes I need that stretch to do other things, right? And you want to be like in an improvisational mode. You want to have all options kind of physically available to you. So that's why I'll use a fingering like this. It's not so I can show off how big my hand is. It's like if I want to reach up to there, it's there, isn't it? So anyway, so we've got first finger, and then we've got third on 10. We've got second finger on 9. It's on the 4th string. First finger on the 7th of the 3rd. We've got our 4th finger on the 11. So there, the note was a little bit raspy, so just making sure I'm using the tip of that 4th finger. And then we've got our second finger, which is on the 8th fret, 2nd string. First finger on the 7th, and then we've got our 4th finger there. So we're moving across the strings a lot quicker, so we need to have this muting. So here we go. And that's kind of the sound we want. We want something nice and clean like that. Again, if we put that with a backing track, I'll see if there's a different one. We'll use this one. So if we play this along to some music, okay, we can basically train our ears to these sounds as well. Which is very handy when we're improvising, so we can recall the sounds that we want because we're familiar with them. And then you can start just adding things in. Okay, so I'm going off. But it's great just allowing, as soon as I start doing that little simple exercise, and then just playing about with other notes outside that exercise, you're making music, so we're fulfilling our connection with the world. Alright, so what you probably noticed when I was doing that improvisation is I got I ended up here. Why? Because it was a problem area. So I just had to work on that muting because there was a little bit of a raspy note, which is fine. The odd raspy note here and there, I don't mind so much. It's just when it becomes too clashy. Sometimes a raspy note gives it like almost like a saxophone sort of feel. But we do want it nice and clean. Now, of course, with this arpeggio, we can extend it as well. So now we can go, and we can get up to there. Oops. So I'll just run through that again. We've got 1, 3, 2, 1, 4, 2, 1, 3, 4. Okay, that's a little arpeggio thing, and that's your 2 notes per string. Building from that concept, what we can do is we can start making arpeggios into like 3-1-3, which is something I really like doing. So these are all the other notes out of that. So the reason I'm picking this 3-1-3 thing is because rhythmically it's a little bit more challenging to do. you really got to think about the notes, right? So the way to do this is this. So think of that arpeggio I've just shown you. That's the framework, okay? And this is what we're going to do. We're going to make it into... so this would be technically, I think it's like an E minor 11. Yeah, but we've got the 9th in there as well. So this is it. We're going to start with this. That's our first bit. So we've got 1, 2, 3. And remember, the frame is going to be that arpeggio I showed you. Okay, so adding this 9th note in. Next note is just the usual. So we've got, like, that's the 3-1. So again, lots of micro practices here. You've got, Hi, Doctor. How you doing? How's it going? Have you got your guitar out? So anyway, 1, 2, 3, and there's our 3. So great. For micro practicing, we've got 4 notes. So that's one thing. And then if we're struggling... Oh, you just ordered, great. And there's a micro practice there we've got. So there's a couple of things there already we can do that's really good. So we go up the scale, and then this bit now we add in this middle note, the root note. Now we've got 2, so that's our second finger, that's the 1, and then we've got our first finger, 3rd, 4th. And then the great thing is we just want to get this dynamically flat and then take it from there. And we'll just run the backing track and we'll see how it sounds. Oops. Anyway, you can almost run it like a little scale, and just come up with little sequences and just play with it. Because remember, we're making music, aren't we? That's what we're doing. We're trying to make music at all times. And then think about linking patterns. Okay, Now that last little thing I played is just a brilliant workout for doing this technique. What we're going to do is we're going to ascend up E minor 9 in fourths. It's a slightly boring chord progression. Yes, but it's only to demonstrate the technique, Rez. We're not really, you know. And it was a live looping thing I did yesterday. What came out, so don't worry about it. It is boring. I totally agree. Okay, but as a backdrop to demonstrate this lesson, it's perfect. Right. I mean, what I'm actually, I don't know if you were here, Rez, before, but like what I'm saying to everybody is, you know, rather than using the metronome, which is probably the most boring backing track that you can possibly have, just use a backing track that's got some chords on it and stuff like that, so your ear can learn the sounds of what you're playing. All right, that's all I'm saying. But agreed, it is boring. Right. I find the metronome the best backing track. I mean, it's a necessity. I mean, I use a metronome, as you've seen, the metronome there for, you know, but I do like the fact that, you know, that I'm going to be making music, so I want something to respond to. I need some sort of backdrop to hear what I'm playing and how it's going to work, you know. Anyway, moving on. So, we've got this ascending in groups of 4. Just get my... Right, there we go. Now, what we're going to do here is this. So that arpeggio I showed you, we're just doing the first group. So we're going 1, 3, 2, 1. It's the first bit. So this is a great exercise just to get everything clean. And then we're going to go into the next 4. So next 4 starts from here, the third finger, and we're just playing up that arpeggio. So you see I need to work on my 4th finger. Okay, and then we've got the next bit. That's a really difficult bit. So that part of that arpeggio is a great micro practice. So you'll find all these areas that you need to work on. And then we're just basically going up that arpeggio and down. Oops. And then we're back to the beginning. So again, we can just practice that with a backing track. And then we're getting our hands warmed up. Right. Okay. Boom. Right. So, any questions? Any questions so far? Right. How's everybody been finding today's session? Okay. because it's a coffee break for me. So I've covered quite a bit there on the foundations of legato, hammers only. Okay, there's one more thing that I'll do that I've remembered, that I would be kicking myself if this thermos flask's really crap. Right, need to get a new thermos flask. Right, okay. Any questions? I have no idea how to play guitar, but I do have one. My wife can play her violin. Oh, brilliant. Excellent. Well, you can start jamming. No, it's been a great, actually, to be honest, you know, like I've really enjoyed, I've enjoyed teaching. I think the one thing about teaching, right, okay, that's not like coaching, right, is the certainty. Okay, and what I mean by certainty is I'm going to teach you this technique, and then if you go away and practice it, you'll learn it, and that's what you're going to get. As a music coach, it's all about embracing uncertainty, and that's how you make art. You see, there is no, when we're making something original and unique, there is no certainty. So this is a great, you know, pitch for me to go on about coaching, right? When we're making music, we don't know, we can't imagine what the exact result is. I don't know anybody, and myself, and I've done hundreds and thousands of tracks, right? I never really knew what the end result was going to be. What I do know is when I imagined an end result and stuck to that ruthlessly to try and get that, it was incredibly frustrating, and that's when we get into a design thing, which we kind of want to involve. We want when we're listening, when I'm improvising, all the time you're listening to the music and you're discovering what the music wants to be. We're, you know, when we're improvising, we're jamming with other people, what's the music asking me to do? There is no, we can't project into that future, so there has to be uncertainty, and that's what, as a producer, somebody who writes a lot of music, that's what I embrace. You know, that's why I love these live sessions, especially with the live looping, because it's there's just total uncertainty, you know, and there's risk involved, and I love that, and that really fires me up, because I know that if I practice these things, it's going to make me so much better as a musician. I mean, that's probably more an extreme version of what you can do. But embracing uncertainty, as a side note, if we're creating music, we have to get comfortable with that. There is no point in being result focused. We need to be in the moment, and that's where we'll make our unique music. But teaching, certain. So you practice this, and you will have those. You'll 1% of this, and you'll get massive gains from it. But yeah, thanks, Perplexity. All right, what else was I going to say? Right, there must be some questions. Somebody must be... Gramps, are you still there? Have you found the session? Have you kind of got your guitar and... Dr. Slick, I'm looking forward to your guitar when you get that. I'm assuming you're a beginner, or you can play a bit. Somewhere in between that. I could be wrong though. Right. Okay, so there is one more thing that really, really kind of helped me out, and it's simple, and that is the concept of hammers only. So hammers only is there's no pull off. Okay. All right. And that's the other thing I need to cover is the pull off. Oh, you're practicing on a Jackson. That's very nice. Right. Okay. So this is good, Gramps, because when we're looking at an XY axis, you've got you're up at the top end, and there's something transitioning down. So now what you need to do is just play it. So in a game of music style would be like where that problem area is just play it at a comfortable pace, and then observe. And then when you locate exactly where the problem is, micro practice it. Another way to locate those problems is to play it really fast, really, really slow, and then at the tempo that you're comfortable with at that moment. And then that'll kind of reveal it. So that's another way to do it. But I'm doing legato here, and we need the pull-off bit, don't we? So pull-offs. So I'm going to do a different exercise, right? So when we're hammering on, that's exactly what it is. It's a hammer. And when we're descending, we're pulling off. Now, the pull-off is just a light brush. I'm not really striking the string. It's just a light brush. Okay, so if we're descending on that C major, it's just a light brush. And that's it. And we're just keeping, again, our fingers nice and close to the strings. It's a lot easier on the pull-off. And we're reducing the size of the pull-off as well. We don't want... And then fingers massively off. We want to keep it as close to the fretboard as we can. And when you're thinking about transitioning to the next string, think about where the fourth finger's going, okay? Where it needs to go. It needs to go to the second string, doesn't it? Okay, so that's the legato side. Like, ask some questions on legato, right? Because I probably should have put this in earlier on the pull-off section. So if there's anything anybody needs to know about that. Then we can look at that. And again, the muting technique, you can see the rolling of this hand. First finger muting all the lower strings. First finger muting the string above it. A slight bit of muting off this hand. Shaping the attack of the lower strings. It's a bit like a little compressor, isn't it? Okay. Right, so this is like another thing to do, right? If we really want to get into the weeds and making sure everything's nice and clean, hammers only, okay? So when we descend, there's no legato. It's actually... Now, it's not, I mean, when I'm descending, I pretty much always use legato if there's multiple notes on a string. But this is a great way just to get your coordination going, the isolation of the notes, and working on the tone. So there's no pull off. And it's also a great way if you're having a problem with a lick. Alright, sound went off for some reason. Right. So like, let's say you had a problem with this transition here. And you could just practice that with no legato, just the hammers only. Okay. So that's another top tip. Right, does that all make sense, everybody? And we know what legato is. So I just assumed everybody knew. Now, obviously, you're going to go away and practice this, and there are going to be questions. You are going to, and do get back to me, because this is how we learn. You know, I've presented something for you to look at. And as you practice, what I want to hear is the problems you're having. I would just like to say, and it's really important that we embrace problems. Problems are literally your friend, okay? Trust me on this. From a coaching point of view, we used to say challenges, or you're having this challenge, and then would work a ways to go up and around it. But actually, the world works off problems. We're always going to have problems. And what I always say is we're exchanging really crappy problems for much better problems, all right? In life, when you solve a problem, it always creates more problems. If you had, £1 million now, you'd be able to solve lots of problems, but it would create new, but probably better problems than the ones that you had before. It's the same with guitar, so expect when you climb one mountain, there'll be another mountain to face. But what I'm saying to you is problems is how we create knowledge. And with that, that is how we progress. So sometimes when I'm playing, and then I notice things going wrong, and then I analyze what I'm doing, I then realize that there is a problem, and I get excited because that is the opportunity for me to improve as a player. So I embrace that, and I think, oh great, I've got something to do, I've got something to focus on. Quick, what's the strategy? Let's make the micro practices, let's schedule that in, and let's overcome that. And sure enough, that boosts your playing, and you're back on form again. But that's how we do it. And then, when you're playing, you think, oh, my playing's not as good. Think about it like a scientist, okay? Well, why is it not? Okay, what we don't want to do is talk about, it's a feeling. Like, you want to be as accurate when there's a problem. You need to be as accurate in the description of the problem as you possibly can, and ignore sort of inner feelings on that. Okay, you just got to look at it like an engineer, basically. Okay, so you wouldn't say, oh, my feel isn't very good, or it is full of mistakes, or it's not right. Okay, those things are very varied, but what I'm talking about, and it's a skill that you learn, it's a skill that you have to practice. I'm not expecting people to be able to suddenly take this on board, but just start thinking about it like this. When there is a problem when you're playing, where is that problem? Locate it. What is the problem? Describe it. Describe the scale that you're playing. So I'm playing C major, it's 3 notes per string. Okay. When I get halfway up the scale, there's something going wrong. Okay. What is that something? So we're drilling down. Okay. And then what we do is we try and then, after a description, as if we start really getting into the weeds and describing it, explaining the problem. Well, it might be because my fingers are too flat, I'm creating lots of noise, transitioning from the third and second strings using my fourth and second fingers. So like immediately in that explanation, right, what you'll find is the solution of what you're supposed to do will actually pop out. Okay, so that solution will be practice. And I'm assuming Gramps is having this problem. Practice the movement between 2 and 4. And this is all about, playing instrument, guitar, whatever. A lot of it is just like common sense and having these skills, that skill of describing and explaining and then coming up with your own sort of strategy, like exercise to overcome that problem. That is how you're going to improve. The other thing is when you encounter these problems over and with your music, okay, those problems are very, very specific to you and how you are expressing your emotional metaphor. So therefore, they're even more important because this is the vehicle and the mobility that you're having to express those emotions, and they're your emotions. So effectively, what you're doing, and I hope you're doing, is going to be unique, because we need to be unique in this world. And I'm not saying I'm a unique genius or anything like that. It's just pushing the envelope to be a little bit different, because we're in an age, everybody's making music. We've got AI. There is tons of wallpaper music out there, and I think now more than ever we need as many people as possibly can playing instruments, expressing their human emotions through that, okay, and just making music that's unique to them. Don't make music for a group of people that you think might like it and imagine what they're doing. Make music for yourself. That's the most important thing, because what you'll find is other people will like that music. I used to people please like that, and it was the most miserable time of my career. Okay, I was writing pop music and trying to be popular, and it was horrible producing that stuff. And then I continued doing a bit of that early on in my dance career before I started then making stuff I wanted to make. And then obviously at McRocklin Hutch, I just do what I want, right? And it takes time to, I've been through all of that. I've done all the worst habits, right? But what I did do is they were all problems of which I solved, okay? And that journey, when I look back, was a necessary one. And I'm glad that I went through all of those things, because that's who makes me now, so to speak. So I just thought I'd better say that as a side note. And a lot of the stuff I do say is from the heart, because I mean, I'm a full-time musician. I've always been a full-time musician since, I've always been full-time, apart from when I was at school. But I was still full-time then, because all I was thinking about was music anyway, and how I was going to be like Michael J. Fox, Back to the Future, or Jakey Lee, who, oh God, he got shot, didn't he? Very sad. I wonder how he's getting on. I'll have to check. But yeah, we need to use music to celebrate who we are, and just make unique music, and people will come to you. People will like your music, and the people who like your music will be even more loyal fans. I mean, like McRocklin Hutch, my band, I absolutely love all the people who like our music, and it's just amazing watching them talk about it and get so much out of it. It's excellent. And the same with these lives, just making a bit of music, people enjoying it. It's cool. No, any time perplexity. So the last thing I'd like to say is, please, two things. Do subscribe and give the thumbs up to this channel if you like what's here. I've tried my best. I should have done the legato thing at the beginning, but I was so enthralled about relaxation and muting and all that kind of stuff. But the other thing is, I do run a coaching business, so I have a couple of coaching groups. Now, if you're interested, and you don't have to be just a guitarist or anything like that, it's really, if you just want to make music, okay, and it might be for a number of reasons. You're wanting to release music, you want to get into the world of electronic music and produce dance music, you might be a guitarist who you're playing and you want to just make some tracks to play over and be original and start releasing music, then the coaching program is definitely for you. You need to be on it for 3 months, okay, minimum. But I will turn you into basically, I'll turn you into a prolific track making machine. Okay, you'll always have inspiration, you'll have a routine, you'll be able to make music, you'll have a system that is super flexible, that's designed around you, okay, because you'll be designing it. Coaching is all about me facilitating your skills that you have now. There is no differentiation. You'll be in a group of 4 people, so it doesn't matter if as long as you've made a track before and you're familiar with your studio, right? Then it doesn't matter. I can have completely really advanced people on there, and people who are just sort of like starting out. But because you're not actually working with each other, so you're working on your project. So the only person you're in competition with is yourself. Okay, it's a wonderful thing, and it's a great new approach to education. It's totally different from what I've been doing here today. This is Hutch as a teacher, educator. So for the coaching, you get to you sit in a group of 4 people with me as your coach, and we go through doing musical exercises that will give you insight. It lasts for 2 hours. We meet once a week, every month, and the fee for that is $237 a month, right? $237 a month, 2 hours of me with a group of 4, sharing ideas, doing music, developing your music practice, becoming an original artist, somebody who's going to be prolific at the end of it. And you'll just have a great time. The things that you'll learn, you'll be able to apply to all areas of your life as well. So do check it out. But I would suggest that you have financial resources for 3 months. However, if you do the first month and you absolutely hate it and you just think this is like not for me, I'll give you your money back. It's fine. That's okay. Because sometimes people just aren't ready for it, and it's not, it's not exactly kind of what they want. But if you're wanting to progress your music, to learn, to embrace uncertainty, to be proactive and not reactive, then that's what you need to be doing. You need to be getting a coach. All right, everybody. Thanks for listening. I'm going to head off now. And right, hold on. Jakey Lee is doing well. Thank God for that. Because I'd be upset. Oh, he was like, Eddie Van Halen was bad. Like, Jakey Lee was really my first proper guitar hero when I was little. It was amazing. All right, and get well soon, Jake. And get shredding. All right, then. I'll see everybody. I don't think there's going to be one tomorrow morning, but I should be back Thursday, I reckon. I've got a little bit of something. If I am on tomorrow, it's not going to be advertised. I'll just pop up. But do enjoy the lesson. This will be there in the live for you to go back to again and again and again, and do subscribe and like this channel. All right then, everybody. Bye.